Welcome back to another episode of Daphne V TV. And one of my things I always try to do is be authentic, to be real, to be transparent. And I just want to let you know I'm coming to you late today because I just got out of prison. Yeah. Now, the caveat is I went in voluntarily. So I was able to leave when I wanted to. But that's what I want to talk to you about today, is I want to talk to you about freedom and about taking flight. Again, welcome to Daphne V TV, the show for chain breakers and wave makers. So I want to tell you a story about, maybe 6 years ago. Have you ever felt imprisoned? Has there ever been a stronghold on your life? Maybe it was a habit. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was a career. Whatever it was, if you've ever felt imprisoned, type it in the comments because that's where I can really get to know you. And just put prison in there, captive, whatever word resonates with you. But 7 years ago, I was part of a group and we took a trip to Shawshank Prison. Now, maybe you're familiar with the movie. If you know the movie, throw that in the comments. I want to get some engagement going because there's a movie. I think Stephen King is the guy who wrote the original book. But I learned about this book through one of my mentors. And he wrote a book actually from the Shawshank Reformatory. It's a real place in Ohio. And I went there as part of a self-discovery, if you will, opportunity. And we were put in a prison cell. And I closed the door, not all the way, but pretty darn close. And I held onto those bars. And I looked out across to the wall in front of me. And I looked out the window. The window had a film across it because they didn't want the prisoners to clearly see what was on the outside. It was probably more torturous not to know what was really on the other side of that film. And I stood there in that cell with my hands on those bars. I realized I was only in there because I refused to let go. Because I was still holding on. And at any moment, I had the choice to let go, open the door, and walk out. Yeah. Sometimes we are in our own prisons by our own lack of awareness. I didn't realize that I held the key. Now, if you're tuning in today because you saw the headline, "Do you have the sense of a bird?" I'm going to tie this together. Just hang in there with me. This month, I'm coming to you live in July, which in America, it's kind of known as the freedom season. And I started actually thinking about who or what has some of the greatest freedom in the world. And that's birds. Birds have a tremendous amount of freedom. They can go wherever they want. They can rest wherever they choose. They can go fast. They can go slow. They can vacation in the south. They can go north where it's cold when it's hot in the south and vice versa. They have a lot of freedom. And so I started thinking about birds. I started thinking about taking flight. Then I started thinking about adult beverages because if you order a flight, but then I was like, Daphne, you're losing focus. So get back to the birds. And hey, if you've ever enjoyed a flight of an adult beverage, put that in the comments if you're brave enough. But anyway, I digress. So with birds and with taking flight, have you ever studied geese? If you've noticed, even if there's just a few of them, they fly in that V formation. The strongest goose is in the front. The weaker geese are in the back. because they know it takes one another to move forward, to continue their flight, to go to their destination. And when one gets tired, they slow down, they move to the back, and they let the others embrace them and pull them forward. So, my question for you today is, how free are you? What prison are you choosing to stay in? In my favorite book, in fact, there's a section of it called John, and it's actually John 8:36. It says, "So if the Son sets you free, you are free indeed." So I just really wonder, how many of us are going through life trapped, harnessed or shackled by chains that only exist in our mind? Think about it for a minute. If you were completely free to care for yourself physically, to care for yourself emotionally, to care for yourself spiritually and financially and vocationally and relationally, every and any way you wanted to, how would your life look different? Some of you may be thinking, well, I am free to do that. So my question back would be, are you? Like, no condemnation, y'all. None at all. Okay. I'm not here to throw you under the bus to make you feel bad. I'm here to encourage you, because you have a choice. You live in a time in history where you are free to take flight, be an adult beverage or like a bird, and soar to a new level, to get to the destination you choose. If you have seen any of my other social media for today, you'll see there are actually pictures of me in Shawshank Prison. And there's the quote, "Get busy living or get busy dying," which we could really alter. I've always got the DSV, the Daphne Smith version of something. Get busy flying or get busy crying. I don't know. I'm just going for something that rhymes, because here's the thing. If you are trapped emotionally, financially, relationally, spiritually, physically, you're going to want to cry. I mean, that just makes sense, man. If you don't, then you're numb. If you're not feeling anything, then you're numb. And I want to remind you that living while you are alive is a gift. Years ago, I was inspired by the movie Sixth Sense. So as you can tell, between Shawshank Redemption and Sixth Sense, sometimes I like some pretty deep movies. But I remember that little boy, Haley Joel Osment, and that famous expression, "I see dead people." If you've seen that movie, let me see that in the comments, okay? Just type in "dead people." And I realized I see dead people every day. I encounter them at the grocery store, at the post office. I was one of those dead people, because I was trapped in the prison of my own mind. I was trapped in a prison that I had created, that I had allowed in part others to put me in. And when I made the decision to break my chains and start making waves, I realized what it's like to live a well-done life on a daily basis, to collapse into the bed at the end of the night, not from exhaustion in a negative standpoint, but because I played hard, because I put it all on the line, because I was a master in the art of living. People often say to me, "Daphne, you must work all the time." And I really kind of laughed because if they knew what my day really looked like, they probably wouldn't be impressed. They would be surprised in a different way because I so love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. And a lot of times I get so much joy out of it, it really feels like I'm playing. So all of this wraps up in a message of, again, encouragement. You have the power, you have permission to free yourself. So my question is, are you willing to let go of the bars? Are you willing to take full flight in your life? If you are, you're going to have to let go of where you are right now. You can't get to there if you're staying here. So before we go, I'm going to put a link. It's scrolling down below. If you would like to schedule a 30-minute laser session, free. It's what I offer my clients, and you may never become a client, but you and I may be able to help you let go. Even if we pry one finger off the bar, you're going to experience more freedom than if you're holding on with both fists. So I will put that in the comments of the show notes, and you are welcome to check my calendar, see if there's a laser session that works for you, because I know what it's like to live free. And I believe that when you know, you're going to be ready to let it go. In the words of Elsa. See, I have a varied taste in movies, all right, from Shawshank Redemption and Sixth Sense to Frozen. When you are fully ready to let it go and to take flight, your life changes. And there's my friend Rebecca. Birds don't sit too long. You're right. They sit long enough to rest, and then they continue on. Absolutely. And having worked through and gotten through to the other side, when you look back and like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to close with this quick little story. You know, I started off by saying, hey, I just got out of prison. Actually, I got out of prison 7 years ago. When I left Shawshank, I felt like a new woman. Then last year, I went back and I followed the plan. I got back in that prison cell and I contemplated, where am I holding myself back? Where do I feel stuck? And I worked through and I came out. And just this last week, I went back to Shawshank, July 9th, 2012. And it was time to do the exercise. And it was time to go back in that prison cell. I had every intention of going into that cell. I had on white pants, so I took some paper towels to sit on because it's a rusty, dirty, musty place. And I walked toward that cell, and I couldn't force myself back in. I could not set foot in that cell. My freedom would not allow me to go back. So I sat on a bench outside and I stared in. And I thought about all the people who are still in there willingly, simply because they don't know any better. So if there's anything you get out of today, I want you to know that I believe you have more sense than a bird, that you can take flight, that like a bird, you are willing to soar, that when you need help, that you'll rely on others. And I want to encourage you to live a well-done life, free from the chains and the bars and the prison that has held you back. And break those chains and make those waves. And you have absolute permission. It's not even from me. And you may not be able to give it to yourself yet. But there is someone who loves you so much they died for you. And when they say you're free and you accept that freedom, it's yours, whether you choose to act on it or like it or not. I mean, act like it, right? Not like, anyway, I digress. So here we go. Are you ready to receive permission? Because it's yours. Permission to free yourself.